everyone, my name is Shivani and I'm a licensed immigration consultant based in Ontario, Canada, and I'm also the founder of Zeste Immigration Services Incorporation. Today in this video, we'll be talking about Nova Scotia's occupations in demand stream. So this PNP has so many good things in it, like the minimum language requirement is only CLB level 4, the age limit is between 21 to 55, there's no PNP fees, so you don't pay any provincial government fees for this PNP, there's no CRS requirements, so no express entry profile creation, no high CRS cutoff requirements, and also the eligible occupations are in tier 4, 3, and 5. So let's get started. So let's get started. First of all, let me tell you the minimum English language requirement for this PNP is CLB level 4. It's minimum, okay? There's no CRS requirement because this is not an express entry aligned PNP, all right? So you don't have to create an express entry profile for this particular PNP because this is done outside. Like this PNP does draws and issues nominations outside of the express entry, okay? So no CRS requirement for this particular PNP. Really nice thing about this is that there's no PNP fees, okay? So you're not paying to the provincial government for the nomination. You'll directly be paying to the RCIC for the main PR application, okay? And eligible occupations are tier 3, 4, and 5. So the Nova Scotia occupations in demand stream targets hopeful newcomers with job offers to work in demand occupations in Nova Scotia. The occupations in demand stream targets specific tier category 3, 4, and 5 occupations of the National Occupation Classification that are in high labor market demand in Nova Scotia. Labor, Skills, and Immigration identifies occupations in demand based on labor market information and eligible occupations. However, they're subject to change at any time. So now let's take a look at the eligibility requirements of this program. To be able to apply, you must have a full-time permanent job offer from a Nova Scotia employer in one of the following occupations. So let's quickly take a look at the occupation list. The first over here is NOC 33102, which is for nurse aides. Second is NOC 65200, which is for food and beverage servers. Next is NOC 65201, which is for food counter attendants, kitchen helpers, and related support occupations. Next is NOC 65310, which is for light duty cleaners. Next is NOC 73300, which is for transport truck drivers. The next one is NOC 73400, which is for heavy equipment operators. And the last one over here is NOC 75110, which is for construction trades, helpers, and laborers. Now, you must also have 1 year of work experience related to the job. You should be between 21 to 55 years old, have a high school diploma, have the appropriate training, skills, and/or accreditation for the job. Prove language ability equal to Canadian language benchmark, which is CLB level 4, even if your first language is English or French. It's a mandatory requirement. And also show enough financial resources, that means proof of funds, to successfully settle in Nova Scotia. The Nova Scotia occupations in demand stream is not aligned with express entry system, meaning you're not required to meet high CRS cutoff, and hence for people who are not eligible for express entry may become eligible with this PNP, given that they meet all program requirements. Another good thing about this program is that the age limit is between 21 to 55 years. So even if you're a little bit older, but you have job offer from Nova Scotia employer in one of the selected occupations and you meet the rest of the requirements, there are still chances for you to get PR in this age. However, it's extremely important for you to note that you must have a full-time permanent job offer from a Nova Scotia employer in one of the selected occupations before you can apply to immigrate through this program. So you cannot simply create your profile, you cannot simply submit an application for PR without first having to secure a full-time permanent job offer from a Nova Scotia employer in one of the selected occupations. Now, please note that full-time means that you will work year-round for a minimum of 30 hours per week, okay? And permanent means that your job offer does not have an end date. This is the definition of full-time permanent in Canada, all right? So you make sure that you have a full-time permanent job offer from one of the Nova Scotia employers in one of the selected occupations, all right? Now, another thing to note here is that the stream is a part of an economic immigration program, okay? So you may not use it as a way to immigrate to Canada for any of these reasons. The first one is family reunification, second is protected persons, and third is humanitarian or compassionate grounds. Now, so far we have gone through all the eligibility requirements and what you have to do, what kind of job offer you need and all that. But you must be asking like, hey Shivani, you know what? Is this occupation in demand stream right for me? So let's answer you that question, whether this stream is right for you. All right, let's get started. So the Nova Scotia's occupation in demand stream may be right for you if you meet all of the criteria listed here. Okay, so let's get started. The first one is that you have been offered a full-time job. Full-time means you will work a minimum of 30 hours per week all year round, full 12 months, date to date. Okay, your offer is for a permanent job. Okay, this should be a permanent job, permanent full-time. So again, permanent means that there is no end date in your employment. Okay, the next is that the job you have been offered is located in Nova Scotia. All right. The next one is that you intend to live, that means permanently reside in Nova Scotia. The next is that your employer is a Nova Scotia employer. Okay. That means if the employer is a commercial business, it must be registered with the Nova Scotia Registry of Joint Stock Companies and show that it has a permanent establishment in Nova Scotia as defined in Canada's Income Tax Act. Okay, if the employer is a non-profit organization, it must be registered under the Societies Act. All right. Also, the employer must have operated in Nova Scotia for at least 2 years. Next is that you should be paid a sufficient wage or salary as per your job, and your job has to be in one of the selected NOCs or job titles or occupations that is in this program. Okay, we have already gone through the list and I hope you're able to see the same on your screen right now. Okay, the next requirement that you're required to meet is that you should be between the ages of 21 and 55. All right, another thing, you should have a high school diploma minimum. Okay, at least a high school diploma, and you have the training skills and credentials needed for the job. All right, you also should demonstrate or must have your immigration status proof. All right, so you should have a proof of your immigration status in the country where you're currently living. Okay, so if you're in Canada, you should have something like a work permit. If you're outside Canada, make sure if you're residing in a country that's other than your country of citizenship, wherever you are residing right now, you should have a legal status in that country and you should have entered that country legally. All right, so we would need those documents as well. All right, the next is the next requirement over here is that you have worked at least 12 complete calendar months within the last 5 years and a minimum of 1560 hours. So 1560 or 1560 hours. Okay, this work must be related to the job you are being offered. Okay, it must be related and it must be paid work. Okay, so it shouldn't be a voluntary work, should be paid work. It cannot include voluntary and unpaid internships. Now, what you need to know before you apply in the stream. So first thing is that you must apply to 2 levels of government, provincial and federal. Level 1, Nova Scotia provincial government. Okay, first you apply to Nova Scotia nominee program occupations in demand stream. If you are nominated for the stream, the Nova Scotia government will email you a nomination certificate. Okay, at the same time, they'll also send a proof of your nomination to the IRCC. So now let's talk about costs. So like I told you before, there's no application fee for NSNP. So no provincial application fee by the government, by the province of Nova Scotia, right? However, there may be costs related to your application. So for example, translation costs, if you are required to translate your documents from your mother tongue or from any other language to English or French, and fee charges by a representative. So if you are hiring someone like an RCIC or lawyer, they will have their fees to do your application, and fees for English or French language testing such as IELTS or CELPIP, so that's not associated with the government fees, right? Now, the next level of government is federal. Okay, so level 2, which is the federal government, which is the IRCC. Okay, next, if you are nominated by the province of Nova Scotia, apply to IRCC for a permanent residence visa within 6 months of receiving your nomination certificate from the Nova Scotia government. All right, you may submit applications for yourself and include your spouse and dependents in the application if you have any. Now let's talk about the costs here. So of course, there's a fee to apply for a permanent resident visa to IRCC. For current fees, you can Google IRCC fee list and you'll be able to find the latest fees over there on their official website. Now, if you're eligible, then it's time for you to start gathering the documents. So let's talk about the document checklist that you need. All right. So you will need a number of documents to complete your application. But before you do, there are few important things to keep in mind, okay? First is all documents must be PDF files, okay? No Word document, no other type, it should be PDF files, okay? Now, documents with images must be scanned in color. Text-only documents may be scanned in black and white, all right? The total size of documents must be no more than 50 megabytes. Okay, each file name must be no more than 50 characters. All documents must be clear enough to read. Scanner resolution must be 300 dots per inch. Clear warning from the government is that the government may close your application if documents are missing, unsigned, unclear, or have been enhanced or edited. All right, so make sure you don't do any of these. Now a few more things to know. Documents in languages other than English or French must be translated by a certified translator. You are required to submit the original copy and the certified translation as well. Now, documents related to your job offer. NSNP 200. Okay, your employer must complete and sign this form. The form is NSNP 200. Okay, it proves that they have offered you a permanent full-time job. NSNP 200 supporting documents. While your employer must complete and sign the NSNP 200 form, you must submit it and all supporting documents as part of your application. Now, next are the documents related to your work experience, okay? So to prove that you have the work experience and skills needed for the job, you must include letters of reference from your employer, okay? These letters must be written on company letterhead and must be stamped with the company's official seal if it has one, okay? Letters of reference must also include all of the following. First, company's full address, telephone and fax numbers, email and website address, your supervisor's signature, or that of a responsible officer, all right, the specific period of time that you've worked for the company, so start date, end date, if you have already ended the employment, so start date, end date as well, the titles of your job you have held, if you were hired as something else and then you got promoted, make sure all of that details is mentioned over there, right? So that should also include the amount of time you worked in each job, in each title, your main duties in each job, your annual salary plus benefits for each job, the number of hours you worked per week in each job, the number of hours you work in total in each job, and send all of the above list to each of the employers, okay? So that they can add this into the reference letter. Next are the documents related to your education and training, okay? So a copy of your high school diploma, which is the minimum. If you have bachelor's, if you have master's, if you have anything else, make sure that you have that, you submit that. Copies of the licenses or certificates required for the job you have been offered if needed, okay? Now are the documents related to your ability to communicate, okay? Which is English or French. So you must meet one of the following, the criteria listed under CLB 4 or higher, okay? I hope you're able to see the table on your screen right now. You're required to score a minimum of CLB level 4. Please keep in mind that your language results should not be older than 2 years, okay? Now are the documents about you and your family. The very first thing is passports, okay? So you and everyone immigrating with you, so your spouse, children, if you have any, must have valid passports. The expiry date of all passports should be at least 2 years from the date of your application. Do not include the original passports in your application. Instead, include copies of pages that show these things. The first thing is the passport number, the date of issue and expiry, the photo of the passport holder, that means the first page that they are talking about here, the name of the passport holder as well as their date and place of birth, any changes to the passport holder's name, date of birth, or other identifying information, any changes to the passport expiry date or any visas or visits. So almost all pages, if they have any information, stamps, front, last page and everything should be included, okay? Documents related to your spouse and children if they are immigrating with you, include the documents that they apply to you. So copy of your marriage certificates, copies of birth certificates for dependent children, copies of custody documents and permission for the child to come to Canada, copies of adoption papers if that's the case in your case, if you have adopted children and all that. So make sure that you have every legal paper with you that proves that you have the custody or you have adopted these children, right? So now are the documents related to your immigration status. So if you currently live in Canada, include a copy of proof of your legal status in Canada. Ensure that your proof is valid when you submit your application, okay? It should not be expired status. It should be currently valid. It should be valid further as well, all right? If you currently live in a country of which you are not a citizen, include a copy of proof of your legal status in that country, okay? Another thing, you should have entered that country legally. All right, so keep that in mind as well. If you have applied to immigrate to Canada before, include copies of every letter you have received from the Canadian government or any provincial or territorial government regarding each application. Now are the documents related to your move to Nova Scotia. So that includes finances and everything. So you may provide one or both of the following, which is bank statements from the past 3 months showing all account balances and transaction history, statements from your investment portfolio showing fixed deposits, and the terms for withdrawing funds before the investment matures. All right. This may include transferable funds in your name or your spouse's name as well. All right. Please note a quick important thing. Do not include real estate or personal items such as jewelry, furniture, and vehicles in this. All right, perfect. So now is the time to assemble your application and submit it to the government. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at www.zeste.ca. If you want us to do your application, again, feel free to reach out. You can book an appointment with me, or you can use the case assessment feature on our website and get your case assessment done as well to learn about your eligibility. So yeah, feel free to contact us at any time, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon right there so that you get notified every single time I post a new video. If you wish to talk about your immigration case, or if you wish to explore your immigration options, then feel free to contact us at www.zeste.ca, or simply use the link given in the description box to book an appointment with me or to get your case assessment done. So get started like that. And yes, I'll be more than happy to assist you with your immigration case. Feel free to contact us at any time. And yeah, until next time, take care, guys.